Here we go. Okay, this is Lisa Zamuda, and welcome to my brand new subscription website. This is my very first expert interview with one of my favorite clients, and also known as a friend, Lynn Zielasko. I will say this: for the first year that I knew her, I pronounced her name Zielasko, but she corrected me a bunch of times. It's Zielasko with power behind it.
Right.
So part of the reason I'm recording these expert videos is because this subscription is for women agents and entrepreneurs and anyone else who is looking for a growth mindset and growth in their lives. So that's what we're doing today. This will be about a 20-minute recording. And so I just want to welcome Lynn and start.
Hi, Lisa.
So Lynn, so just an FYI, this may end up being a video and it may end up being a podcast too. I'm not sure how all the places I'm going to use it just yet, but are you okay with that?
I am okay with that.
Are you here on your own free will?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Well, one of the things I asked you was the mindset of weathering a storm and developing grit. And I know you just have so much to talk about with that. But before I do, I'm going to read a social media post that you put out there today. It was so timely. So here it goes.
Okay.
It says, and I think you put it on, I'm not sure where you put this. Maybe you put this on Instagram. Creating a life by design has not always been a reality. It has taken grit, hard work, and a major shift in my mindset. Life doesn't happen for us, it happens to us. We create, we focus, we grind, we fight, we fail, we grow, and we learn. I love that, Lynn. That is amazing. I love teaching, coaching, mentoring, and helping people see what they limit themselves in and help uncover their strengths and weaknesses and work with them through them. I'm also thankful for the people in my life, the lessons I've learned, and the gifts I continue to receive. Some pretty amazing people have shown up and are inspiring me to inspire others. So you also said this isn't just about real estate, although it absolutely can be. This is about life, and we only get one shot, so we better make it a good one. Holy crap, Lynn, that is the best. So I just think it's so fun that you put that out there today, because that is the content of what I wanted to talk about. So without going too deep into the full history, tell me just a little bit about the Lynn story. Just
we only have 20 minutes.
Yes. Just really, let's start with just so where are you from, Lynn?
I'm from Lake Stevens, Washington.
Okay. And Lynn, are you an entrepreneur, a realtor, or both?
Both. My God, both.
You identify as both.
I identify as both.
You also identify as a badass. Let's be honest.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, correct. So, part of the reason I'm making this is because I think everyone has the possibility to be a badass at something in their life, right? So
Absolutely.
For you, tell me like the evolution of Lynn a little bit, especially maybe the last 5 years. Let's just go back 5 years. We know you've been an agent for at least 16, maybe 20 years?
18.
And we know that you've owned multiple businesses and had multiple ventures. So let's just go back 5 years. I think that will be fair.
Okay. Back 5 years is I filed for my third divorce. I had a baby. I was the team leader at Keller Williams in Marysville, and there was about 160 agents there. My mindset was broken. My heart was broken. And I kind of went through this poor me, why did this happen? And then all of a sudden
It's okay.
Got a phone call.
My phone call.
Somebody wants to buy or sell or invest in real estate.
Right.
I started to, I became instead of being a victim, I became a creator. I became somebody who wanted growth, who craved growth, who wanted to inspire, who wanted better for her life and for her kids. I wanted to teach, I wanted to coach, I wanted to show people that there was a better way, because I was a teen mom. So that's way before 5 years ago. But I have gone through a lot of adversity. I have been through the ups and downs of real estate, the ups and downs of parenting, the ups and downs of being a business owner. And I was in coaching. It wasn't the right coaching. And I'm not just saying this to toot your horn, on here, but
Yeah.
just over 3 years ago, I was at an event, and I signed up for coaching, and I was broke. God, I was broke.
Yeah.
I didn't have the money to pay for coaching, and I knew that I had to start investing in myself. And in order to invest in myself, I had to step out of my comfort zone and spend money that I didn't necessarily have to make me better. And in coaching is different than having a therapist, because even though I feel like you're my therapist sometimes, and the other people that I have in my life, but we're talking about today. And what can we do today to make tomorrow better? Because we can't change what has already happened.
Yeah.
We can't define the things that have happened to us for the rest of our life. That doesn't make who we are. If you get stuck in that, you got to find a way out. And so I have been clawing my way out of that for a long time. And the last 5 years, I've really put forward an effort to get past a lot of things, and change my mindset and want better, and to do better, and to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit. And more recently, taking alcohol out of my world, and boy, oh boy, has that been a life-changing experience. And it's hard. But I want to be the best mom I can be. I want to be the best business owner that I can be. I want to be the best team leader that I can be.
Yeah.
And in order to do those things and to get to those places, I have to focus on me and the inner core Lynn Zielasko, not the surface level, but we got to dive deep down there and pull the shit out.
So interesting. Gosh.
And by pulling the shit out, we're burying it, getting rid of it, light it on fire, whatever.
A couple things. In full transparency, I have coached you for 3 years. I just want to say, I mean, I don't always see your face when we talk, because I prefer a lot of phone coaching, because it lets me be mobile. But I will say this: you are almost reversing the clock on your aging. And I just want you to know, I'm not saying this to flatter you, but I really believe that when a person starts to commandeer their life and take charge of their life, they can create peace and peace of mind. It just adds to the quality of sleep, the quality of relationships, the quality of your work. And then when you add in nutrition, of course, we're not going to go off on that tangent, but I just want you to know that I have seen a massive change in you, and I'm super proud of you. And so that's just a side note. So when you had major transitions, and I mean major, other people might have given up the first divorce, the second divorce, possibly other issues. And I'm not going to call you out on the carpet, but I know you openly talk about this to others too. So what do you think is the difference between somebody who experiences something like a divorce or a bankruptcy or a business failure, and then they can't let it go? They let it be their persona. They let it represent them. They lead with that. They lead with, I failed in a marriage, I'm divorced. I failed in fill in the blank, I'm this. So what do you think is the difference between somebody who battles that mindset and goes, screw that, like I am not the things I've done,
Right.
Tell me what the difference is. Like, how did you at those intersections just freaking harness down and go, what am I going to do different? How, like, what's the difference?
The difference is mindset. The difference is having, I feel like people who have plowed their way through hard times and adversity and have, not been handed the silver platter, um you have more grit and you have more hustle and you have more, because it's like somewhere someone said you can't do that. Oh, by God, yes, I can. And I feel like the bigger the challenge, the more I'm in it. Because I live and thrive, as you know, in chaos. When everybody else is, just wants to be comfortable, I'm looking for the next big thing or the next investment property or the next business or
You
whatever it may
And I
be.
will correct you. You live and thrive in challenge. You used to live and thrive in chaos, but now it's just challenge and you're good at it. Well, great. So would you say you were kind of born with a competitive innate thing? And if you were born with that, could that be something someone could groom within themselves to be more like that?
I mean, we're all born with the same stuff. I feel like you just have to pick and choose what you want. And I obviously am not a quiet, mousy person. However, I haven't always been like that. When I was little, I was chubby. I had glasses. I had short hair. I was a tomboy. I was not pretty. I was very much, just a tomboy. And as I grew, and I feel like I am like a fine wine. With age, I just get better. And that includes my looks, my body, my inner spirit, everything. Um, so yeah, it's like we all are born with the same tools. Which tools are you pulling out of your toolbox?
Yeah.
What,
Which ones do you want to apply a focus to?
yeah, do you want, and I don't I don't like the 9 to 5 mundane same thing every single day. I like to be challenged. I enjoy, even though it's hard, but I like being challenged and to see if I can do this or if I can do that. Or you take someone who had a baby when they were 16 years old, who didn't graduate from normal high school and never spent one single minute in college, who's making $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like, I
So,
don't.
I just have to do a full stop right there. Wow. I mean, I think about this. I had forgotten about your origin story. Like you said, you had a bumpy childhood. There were some issues with your parents. So you might have been a little kid who leaned towards maybe eating a little too much sugar and you didn't feel like the center of their world. You weren't exactly like, them chasing you around with lifestyle photographers. So you you were that
No.
little kid, although they're doing it now, that's why I brought it up. Your Instagram base of followers. I think about you being a mom at 16. Holy balls of fire. Like that alone is a mindset mountain that you have to climb over because society, kind of immediately labels you as somebody who made a big mistake that's irreversible. So tell me more about, now I know you said you had a baby 5 years ago, but is that your only child? Or tell me a little bit more about this, balancing
That would
act,
be way too
the Lynn
easy, Lisa.
Zielasko show. Okay,
No, no,
Julie.
the Lynn Zielasko show starts out with Macy, who was born, she was actually born 12 days after my 17th birthday. My birthday is December 1st, her birthday is December 12th. She was actually born with a birth defect and spent the first 30 days of her life at Children's Hospital. That's what 17 and pregnant looks like for me. And we grew up together. We are more like sisters than we are mom and daughter. And oftentimes she's more like the mom and sometimes I'm like the daughter. I'm trying to like figure that out right now, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
kind of funny.
interesting how daughters can do that.
Yeah. I have a almost 21-year-old son who plays college baseball in Nebraska, and he's studying to play baseball with a minor in accounting.
Okay, very good.
Um, And then I have a 18-year-old son who just graduated last year, and he is high functioning autistic, and he was probably the biggest challenge of my life. And he's thriving. He lives with grandma. Grandma needs him, and he needs grandma, and he got a full-time job. He's driving. He is doing amazing. He's making great choices, and he's gonna do great things.
You know what I noticed about you? And I just have to interrupt real quick. I noticed something. There's a theme showing up here, and I want to make sure everybody hears this. You are such a creative problem solver. So I know you just mentioned that you couldn't do the 9 to 5. So you seek novelty. I know that about you. But also, kind of embedded in that is you are a creative problem solver, and you don't mind allowing others to help you. So when you talk about your autistic son living with grandma, some people, some women, and I say people because my audience is women, they fight through this self thing like, oh, I got to do everything. I got to be everything. I've got to be the one. And I feel like you have figured out some of the harnessing leverage, because like listening to you, I'm like, okay, a single mom that started as young as you did and ended up with 4 kids, has to get good at creative problem solving through this to build the empire that you've also been building. So
this isn't right. Well, this isn't a KW interview, but a KW fire hose has been pointed at me for almost 18 years.
Right.
It's about leverage. It is about who can help you, how can you help them, and how do we make it a win-win?
Right. You're very good at that.
I am very good at that. And it's funny because my daughters, so my youngest is 5, she'll be 6 in 2 weeks, but my daughters are 23 years apart. I was 16 and I was 39. And, so the difference in parenting when you're a teenager versus when you're 40 is 100% completely different. And my big kids say, you never did that for us. Well, I wasn't that person back then. I was some dumb teenager that, was barely surviving.
Like new river, new person walking through.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and it's funny because if you've been in my world and I see that you have a leadership quality and it's not that I'm using anyone, but I don't know how to do everything, but I do know how to problem solve at a very high level.
Yeah.
And I love problem solving. And so how can we fix this? And how can we do that? And how can we build this business? And how can we create this event? And who are my people? Yeah. And how do I bring them in? Because everybody wants to feel significance in their world. And I too want to feel significant. And so by finding the right people and I dated this person and he said, you are always finding something for me to do. And I'm like, yes, that's called leverage.
Like, I don't mind as a devil's workshop is what
right? And it's like you want the people in your life that want to see you be successful, but you also want them to be successful. And I'm very much, a cheerleader from the sidelines for everyone in my world, as long as you want it and you will take it. If you're going to play the victim, you're not going to get my, too much of me for too very long, because I just won't give it up.
Well, what I'm seeing is, hearing loud and clear, is that you, this is a mindset shift too. When you say I see problems and I have to just latch on and solve it, that is a massive mindset strategy, really, because people who see a problem and then let it turn into worry, a pit is in their stomach, they're freaked out, they go into denial, they go into bad habits, whatever they do, they freak out, they yell, and then everything comes up, right? Instead of taking that problem by the reins and like just diving in, I feel like that's a mindset too, of having this belief that everything is solvable. So why waste time freaking out and yelling and, pointing fingers, really? And so I think this is really interesting how you're talking about what you do, because that's a mindset too. Would you agree?
Absolutely. But just to make sure that everybody doesn't think that I'm on some sort of pedestal, I do freak out. I do yell. I am human, and I do have meltdowns. However, I try to nip those in the bud as quickly as possible and to make better choices.
Right.
And and sometimes I regress. And we've had those discussions. And you know what? Your heart sometimes speaks more than your head does at times. And those are all learning lessons and growth, right? So we can't don't look at me like I'm just some,
No. Yeah.
but at the same time, I try to be a quick study.
Yeah. And that I feel the same way. And that's why I created the subscription, because I want people to see that this is over a lifetime, you guys. Like, this is not something that I just woke up one day and said, I want to influence people. I had these epiphanies at different intersections along the way. And I think around 30 was the first one. And then the 40-year-old intersection was the biggest one. And, they keep coming. The contractions are coming closer, which I love, because that means that the challenges are coming closer together, but also so are the successes. And so my skill set is rising too. But I agreed, totally agreed. I don't want anyone to ever think that it's easy. It's not easy, but it requires focus and it requires a desire. And if you have those two things, if you're at least willing to work on those things, you can have whatever you want to have. I really believe that. And so, for like, the other thing I wanted to ask you is, so if you were to give anybody like this audience here some strategies on like daily habits or things that you do to keep yourself in that lane, right? You could go out in your car and scream and like have your moment, as some people call it, the 5-minute funeral. You can go do that, but then when you're done with that, or like for me, I would just like, I know that I've had some hateful things to say in the past, and I would like write it all out. The old me might have hit send. The new me is like, okay, don't get it off your chest, but don't hit send, right? Because like, is this going to help you at all? But like, tell me, if you knew your strategies, what are the things you lean into? Like, once all of that moment is over with, and you're like, okay, now I really got to buckle down and solve this problem. Like, what would you tell people? Like, what are some of your habits?
So one of the things that I work really hard on is my knee-jerk responses and my unfiltered mouth. Because, oh man, those two get me in a lot of trouble. So now I work on responding, not reacting. I also have to think about love and tolerance, because I can't control or change anyone else. I can only do me. Right. And so as much as I want to shake people and whack them over the head and say, why are you doing that? Or whatever the case is, I can only do what I have control over. And those are the biggest thing. And, those are still hard, but being less hot-headed, taking it down a notch. I've learned that as much as I hate structure, I'm resistant to it. I need it. Yeah. And we all need it, right? Like there's the people that the 9-to-5ers that they know exactly what they're doing throughout their day. For me, that causes me a little havoc. And I need to get up in the morning and I need to work out. And, something that I'm trying to implement that is not easy, is prayer and meditation. I'm not sure who I'm praying to, and I'm not sure I'm meditating about, well, like, I haven't figured it out yet, but I need to start out my day at a slower pace. And because I get out of bed and I'm 100 miles an hour, and that's how I am until I go to bed, and that doesn't serve me. As I get older, I'm tired, and I want to do better, and I want to be present.
What I hear in you, and I've seen this in you, and it's still evolving, and it's still evolving in me, and it's this idea of being mindful. Because to your point, I used to do that too. I'd get out of bed and run until I collapse in bed at midnight. Get up at 6, collapse at midnight. Get up at 6, collapse at midnight. At one time I had 3 kids plus my neighbor's 3 kids. So my neighbor mom passed away, and then someone else wanted me to watch her kids. Before I knew it, I had 7 to 10 kids at my dinner table for 5 years. And I thought to myself, this is exhausting. What the hell am I doing? Honestly, what am I doing? I did know though that it was a season, but yet to your point, I look back and I can hardly remember what I did for myself, for joy, for laughter, for anything, for human connection. I mean, I can't hardly remember from 30 to 40. And I had a significant shift around my early 40s that said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to have some memories and I want to have some good laughs with girlfriends. I don't want to be this martyr and then wake up one day at 60 or whatever, 70, and just be bitter, because I'm trying to also uncover what's the difference between people who, age really well and live out their dreams, and people who just like give up and become bitter. And so thank you for those suggestions. So miracle morning is one of the things, like gratitude and just habits in the morning, and working out is huge for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of I would say that is my therapy right now. Is, I believe me, and don't think I wake up every morning and I'm like, yay, I get to go work out. Nope, that is definitely not my thought process most mornings. And I also don't want to jump out of bed and have a negative thought process. So I know that as much as I want to stay in my warm, cozy bed, I need to get up and start moving, because that's what makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And it's also a stress reliever, and it releases those endorphins and all the things that, so I can combat what is going to come at me throughout the day. And I know I'm doing something healthy for me.
Right.
And when, if I'm off kilter and if I go on vacation, or if I'm, go visit grandma or not grandma, my mom, the grandma, anyway, but then I'm, my schedule's shifted. I went over there yesterday. I drove over Sunday, and yesterday morning at 6:30, I got up and I just threw my shoes on. It was pouring down rain, and I was a little pissed about that, but I was like, well, it's not the first time I've walked in the rain. So I went for a walk, and I went speed walked. I just did 1 mile, but it was enough to get my blood pumping and my brain going.
And and I see you put that on, like, you have your followers and then you put it on social media.
5,000 followers on Facebook. You know
Oh my
what?
God. In a way, that is your accountability, because like I notice you do it like right as you're going. You're like, oh, son of a gun, it's raining again. Hi. And then you do it, and in a way, you really have to, because I suppose if thousands of eyeballs are on you, they're like, "What's Lynn up to?" And if you were faking it, that wouldn't be good for your mindset either.
Listen, if I gain 20 pounds, you're going to know it, because my butt is not going to be posting gym pictures, right? And it's funny because when I do gain, because when I quit drinking, I didn't gain any weight, but I stopped working out for 8 weeks. Well, I stopped lifting weights. I was still working out, but my face is amazing. How, when you do a little bit of shifting, things happen, and people notice. People notice because it's my face. They're like, "What are you doing? Your face looks a little chubby," and I'm like, "Shut up!" I'm like,
well, listen, trust me, when your future self is telling you a little bit of chub is okay in the face.
Well, and that's another thing, is that we have to be able to give ourselves grace. We cannot be perfect all the time, and there is not one piece of me that is perfect. But to, if I I count macros typically. So if I don't count a macro, or if I go out to dinner, whatever, as long as I do it and I get back on the next day, that's okay, right? Because that's called balance, and we have to have balance. And we, if I don't work out 7 days a week, that's okay. But if I do 4 to 5, that's balance.
See, you and I are very similar this way. And I think this is another thing that we can just quickly touch on. And that is, having grace with yourself is about letting go of yesterday's supposed failures. And you might not even really have failed, but see, you're telling yourself that if you don't do it perfectly, like a robot, somehow you failed. And this is what you're getting at. You're saying, no, I allow myself grace, because shoot, there's been months where I've ran and did the Peloton and done all kinds of things. And if I, sometimes I really crush it, but I have to understand that I got COVID one time, and for 9 days I laid with my head in a bucket. So, you can't forever damn yourself like you're some kind of robot because you didn't perfectly stick to this regimen, right? And I think
Right.
people do that to themselves. They do it to themselves with their health. They do it to themselves with parenting. Somehow
Yes.
they failed because they didn't get to that one child's concert or game, right? They do it with lead gen. Like they just are like, unless I can do it perfect, oh, I fell off, now I'm done.
Yeah,
So people quit, I think, too soon. But I
absolutely.
like what you're saying, because what you're saying is I'm really flexible with myself. And
Yeah.
that's how I stay in movement and in action in my life.
Yeah. And I mean, people, and that's the thing, like, there's all the new fad diets. Well, you know what? You don't need a fad diet. You need to have balance. You need to eat healthy and you need to move.
Right.
And with those things, you didn't gain 100 pounds in 3 days. So you're not going to lose 100 pounds in 3 days. You
Right.
didn't make $1 million by making 12 phone calls, lead genning. You made
Right.
$1 million by creating a business and a model and consistency.
Yeah.
And you can't be world's best parent, because you know what? Sometimes you're going to get a flat tire and you're going to be late to the freaking concert or to the baseball game or whatever it
Right.
is. And that's okay. We're human.
Yeah.
But like people, they forget and they're like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to go balls to the walls. And then, 30, 40, 50 days later, they fall off the wagon, whatever it may be, whether it's eating, drinking, working out, all the things, because it's not sustainable. And
Yeah.
so in life, we have to find something that is sustainable so that we will, in fact, be successful at it and give ourselves grace and give ourselves, like allow, it's okay to go out and have a cheeseburger. Don't have
Yeah.
17 of them, but you can have one.
Right.
you know,
Right. Right.
I
Well,
mean, I feel gross when I go out to eat, quite frankly. So
I
I know
know.
that if I go out to eat, and we talked about this yesterday,
Yeah.
I don't feel good,
Yeah.
and
No,
so
it's
I
weird.
know that my stomach is
You,
accustomed
well,
to.
it just tells me a lot about how in tune you are with your body now, because you have paid so much attention to your health.
Mhm.
And, now you are listening and it's saying,
I feel
hey,
yucky.
I don't like those deep fried sweet potato chip things with, ranch sauce. Well, I think this has been really fun. I have let us talk longer because I knew that you were going to be a person of interest. I think people are going to be really fascinated with you as we go, and I think we should do more. I think we're going to need to talk about more things. But really, the takeaways, I guess, if I were to just outline takeaways of being a person that can weather storms, weather shifts, weather personal crises, and develop the grit. I heard habits, I heard grace, and I heard consistency. So, and also leverage. So it's like these words are, and I'm sure there's more, but I'm just thinking a habit of putting your oxygen mask on first. That's your exercise, right? The grace of knowing that perfection doesn't exist, but you get up and you do it anyway. But you give yourself grace to know, hey, it doesn't exist, so I'll just keep going and don't overthink it. And then I think consistency, like to your point, you built this business of yours over time. It wasn't overnight; it was over time. And so consistency always wins. And the same thing with exercise, right? Consistency wins. And then leverage. Leverage is huge. Leverage for me also means building that bench of raving fans, because you just never know when you're going to need a connection out
Yeah.
there for something, right? So, is there anything else you can think of that we could add to this before we say goodbye?
Life is simple, not easy. And don't overthink it, because we're all human and we all have the same tools. And we just have to go out and do the best that we can. And we're not always going to be the best.
Yeah.
Tuesday afternoon, you might be in a puddle having a meltdown. And Wednesday morning you might get $1 million listing. And so I mean, just
You
be
want, yeah.
human.
You want to hear something really funny as a closing thought? I went to my physical therapy appointment this morning and she said to me, how's your week going? And I said, great. And she goes, really? I said, well, yeah. And she goes, well, it sounds like it's amazing. I go, it is. And she goes, well, what happened? And I said, nothing. I don't know, nothing happened. And she's like, oh, well, you said it was going great. I was like, well, it's just a mindset I have. I just believe it's going to. And it is like, that's it. I mean, it sounds over, bless you.
Excuse me.
It sounds maybe a little oversimplified, but I mean, like, do we overthink things or what? Like,
We 100% overthink. And our mindset is huge. We have to wake up. You know what? You woke up. Be happy about it. Right? Be happy that we're waking up to our kids running in with, and happy, and be happy that you get to go out and have a cup of coffee. Be happy that you get to take a shower and that have a job. And unless you don't, and that's okay too, right? I mean,
right. That's just an opportunity to grow. Exactly.
Whatever you have, you can always make better.
Well, I want to end this with saying a quote from Mary Oliver, who I just love this lady. She's been gone a few years now, but she was a poet and a literature, a famous literaturist here in America. But one of the quotes, she had really simple things she talked about. And one of the things she said is, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? I just, like, that sends chills up my spine, because to your post today that you said, you only get one. I think of that. I think of Mary Oliver saying, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? And I think, wow, that says it all. So thank you so much, Lynn, for coming. And we will do more of these. And I'm going to end this recording, and then you and I can chat